So, the late Steve Jobs, getting a chance to talk with him, and I said, of all the things that you and Apple have built, what are the thing you're most proud of? Because I wanted to know if it was like the revolutionary iPod when he came out with it, or whether it was some small project that never really got commercialized, but he loved it, right? Well, this was his answer. I'm as proud of what we don't do as I am of what we do. There's this reoccurring theme that seems to show up with all these people who end up becoming these uber achievers. He went on to say that deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. It's true for companies, and it's true for people. He says people think focus means saying yes to the thing you have to focus on. You see, that's what all of us are doing. It's like, what do I got to work on? What do I have to focus on? And he says, no, that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas there are. You have to pick carefully. Success is saying no to 1,000 things. So this is Mark Parker. We have the audio live, right? When he first took over the chair for CEO of Nike, he was having a conversation with Steve Jobs. They were working on the Nike Plus collaboration and asked whether Steve had any advice for him becoming the new CEO of Nike. And so this is Mark talking about that dialogue real quick.
You mentioned last night when we were having dinner that when you first got the job as CEO, you got a call from Jobs and he offered you some advice?
Well, he didn't call to offer me advice, but we had worked together on a Nike-Apple collaboration called Nike Plus. So we took what Apple knows, what Nike knows, and brought a new technology to the market. Anyway, long story short, he said, hey, congratulations, it's great, you're going to do a great job. I said, well, do you have any advice? And he said, no, you're great. And then there was a pause, and he goes, well, I do have some advice. He goes, Nike makes some of the best product in the world. I mean, product that you lust after, absolutely beautiful, stunning product. But you also make a lot of crap. He said, just get rid of the crappy stuff and focus on the good stuff. And then I expected a little pause and a laugh, but there was a pause but no laugh at the end. Yeah. And he was absolutely right. And in fact, that's one of my major focal points in terms of my priorities as a CEO and even as a designer when I was growing up at the company, is to edit. I mean, we have so many ideas. Nike is an idea factory.
To edit. So I ask you the question, what crappy stuff do you need to stop doing so that you can focus on the good stuff? Now, I hope that you're hearing me here, because this really is the separating factor. The ability to say no to very tempting, very shiny, very alluring commitments on your time that make you feel good, make you look like a hero, make you be the white knight, all these things that, make you look busy and needed and valued and feel significant and so forth. Your ability to abstain and to say no is truly the big separating factor. I think Kenneth Cole kind of puts it in the one sentence that sums up this of where we're at so far. Success has less to do with what we can get ourselves to do. See, that's what I always thought. I need to be more successful. What else do I need to do? What else do I need to do? And he says, no. Success has less to do with what we can get ourselves to do and more to do with keeping ourselves from doing what we shouldn't. Peter Drucker put it this way. He says, there's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which we should not be doing at all. And most of us spend most of our days trying to be better at doing things that we shouldn't be doing at all. So consider this. If you looked at your calendar last week, okay, so that we can just sort of bring this into your world, make sure that it's applicable. If we looked at your calendar last week, ask yourself this. What should you have said no to that you spent a lot of time and energy on? One of the things that'll be interesting, if you look at your calendar last week, how much of your calendar there were no appointments scheduled? Like, in other words, you can't even account for what the hell you did. But you ran around like a crazy person. When you went home and your spouse said, well, how was your day? Oh my God, I'm so busy. But you can't even account for what it is that you're busy doing, right? Now we start to look forward. If you look at your calendar next week, now you start asking yourself, what should I say no to? Look at your idea list, your project list, your commitment list, and your communication list, and start wiping it clean. What can I start saying no to? By the way, if you want, I see a lot of you writing feverishly. I'm going to go through these quickly. We'll go through them a lot. If you want a copy of the whole slide deck, I promised Tom Sweet, beautiful person who invited me to come and be with you, fine people today, that I would give you the whole slide deck so that you would have it as a reference point. The other thing that I will do is I'll give you an audio recording of this entire talk. So if you want to hear it again or you want to go back to your team and share it with them, you are welcome to do so. The only thing that I ask is that you do not post it publicly on YouTube or anywhere else, okay? We got a deal? So all you do is just text your name and email address to that phone number. It'll send you the link to the site where you can download the slide deck. There's a lot of worksheets that will help you think through a lot of these things. There's the audio recording of it as well. But do it in 48 hours because I have another commitment and it will go to that other conference, okay? So if you didn't get the number, it's over on the left-hand side as we carry forth. So then you might be saying, okay, well, if all you're telling me to do is to stop doing everything, obviously that's not going to ultimately take you to the land of success. There's got to be some things that we have to do. So what do we do then? Well, success is not going to be by you doing many things, spinning many plates, juggling multiple balls. Instead, it's going to be a factor of doing fewer things and then doing those fewer things at a level of mastery. See, super achievers learn to focus on what I call the vital few. And this is going to end up being your execution framework, the vital few. It's better to be world-class at a few things than mediocre at many. You see, what happens is we all try to be good at a lot of things, and we end up mediocre at everything. We never get world-class at anything. And the world forgets us because we never became world-class at anything. When you look at the faces that appear on the screen here, these are people who will be forever remembered in history. These are the people who pushed human progress forward, did something significant. They're known to be world-class. But the thing that's interesting that you need to know is they're known to be world-class at probably one thing. And if you read their biographies, they were rather mediocre, if not even a little bit terrible, in much of the rest of their lives. But they were world-class, and history will remember their contribution because they were world-class at one thing. So what are you going to be world-class at? If there's one thing that you could become world-class at, what is that one thing? Whether it's a skill, whether it's a contribution, what is it that you'll be world-class at? So I coach CEOs of a variety of companies all over the country, all over the world, in fact. Doug Traylor, who's here, is in one of my elite groups. And with this elite group, we go to these great, fantastic resorts all over the world. And this was at the Grand Del Mar in Del Mar, California. And a few of the guys wanted to come in early and play golf. And I'm like, guys, they invited me to play. And I'm like, I don't really play a lot of golf. I'm not really that good at it. He's like, no, we just want to be with you. Just doesn't matter how you play. Just come out and be with us. I'm like, you're going to be sorry you invited me. And they're like, no, just come out. So I agreed to it. And we get out on the first tee box. And I said, all right, gentlemen, I'm going to give you a workshop here today. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cocky talk for a guy who says he doesn't play much golf. I said, yeah, just trust me on this. And so I said, I'll tee off first. I go up there and I put the ball down and I take my club. And, I'm an athlete. I've played some sports. So I kind of take this and I just reach back, that backswing where you're scratching your shin, on the backstroke. And I just put this Herculean swing on it and just crush this drive, okay? And it goes like this, in the trees. And I dropped the club and I said, gentlemen, workshop over. They're like, no, dude, your ball's out of bounds. You got to hit it again. I said, I just proved to you why superachievers suck at golf. And most every other thing. Because this game takes too much damn time. If I were good at golf, you wouldn't have flown into Del Mar to be part of my elite CEO group. So what happens here is that to become world-class at one thing, you have to relegate lots of other things to mediocrity, if not even to being really, really bad at. And so I'm going to suggest that you make a give-up list. Because, see, that's a lot of people's problem, is we're trying to be good at a lot of things. We end up mediocre at everything and never really great at anything. And so to become world-class, to become great at one thing, you've got to reallocate time. So this is my give-up list. Now, I'm just sharing you mine. You don't have to take mine. I'm just giving you an example so that you can create a framework for your own. So I gave up television. I don't watch TV. I have no idea what television programs are popular. I've never seen a Housewives of this or a Voice of that or an American of this or nothing. I have no idea what goes on in television. The average American, 8 hours plus a day? Imagine what you could do with 8 hours of refocused time, right? I mean, even if it's 2 to 4 hours, enormous amount of time. I give up news. I don't watch any news. I don't listen to any news. I don't read any news whatsoever. I know some of you will disagree with that, but I have this sort of divide and conquer sort of mentality, which is like, okay, you've got cancer, you've got the whales, you've got Afghanistan, you've got global warming. I've got success. Like, you can sleep at night knowing that I'm going to go and champion success, and I'll sleep at night knowing that you've got military ships handling our business over yonder. And I don't have to pay attention to that, and you don't have to pay attention to this, right? So if it doesn't affect my goals, my family, and the dreams and ambitions that I'm after, what I'm trying to be world class in, I'm just going to assume you all got that and I got this, right? So I don't listen, watch, or read any news. And I know some people that spend hours all day, every day, trying to just absorb the world's worst. Because that's all news is. The worst things that are happening in the world paraded morning, noon, and night. And you're just soaking all that in, and then you're trying to go out there and be inspired and be productive. Not helpful. Now, again, I don't expect you to adopt my list, but I'll watch it. It's interesting, but I don't follow any sports. I always figure, like, if people just took the amount of time that they spend following other people's career and reinvested in their own career, their statistics would go up dramatically, right? So I don't follow any sports. Music. My iTunes library is empty except for all the success CDs that get imported in every time I put it in my computer. Again, I'm not saying you need to take on this list. This is just all the time I would have been trying to get the cover albums to match my iTunes library, I put into my one thing. Bodybuilding. I used to live here in South Beach once before. I live here half-time now. And when I did, I sold a company, and I was just going to retire for a while. That was a great mistake. And all I did was work out for 2 or 3 hours a day. And I was like 220, with 20 pounds heavier than I am right now, all muscle. And I said, forget it, it's too much time. I'm just going to stay healthy. And I took the 2 extra hours that I was spending doing that, reallocated it towards my one thing. I live on 2 coasts, San Diego and here in South Beach, and I don't surf. Now, I envy people who surf and they find their like spiritual bliss out there. I just took that time and reallocated it to my one thing. Mechanics. Now, this one I'm a little embarrassed by, but besides a pen and a fork in my hand, and I'm totally retarded. Like this one time in San Diego, I used the bathroom down the hall from my office instead of our master bathroom, and my wife was catching me walking down the hall going to the powder room. She's like, why don't you use your own bathroom? I'm like, the toilet broke. She said, well, you've been doing this for like a month now. I'm like, yeah, it broke a long time ago. She says, well, why don't you fix it? I'm like, I don't know how to fix it. She said, well, come in here. She goes into my bathroom, and she takes off the top of the tank. I'm like, oh, that's how you get that thing off, right? And so she takes the chain, puts it back on the lever, and flushes the toilet. She says, it's fixed. Now, again, I'm not proud about how retarded I am as a mechanic, but I took all the time and energy that I would have spent doing that. On Saturday, a wife usually has the honey-do list. I go and say, honey, who can I hire to do what you need to get done, right? So that's my life, and much, much more. And so all these things where I'm retarded or mediocre in my life, all those things, the time and energy and life force and capacity I would have spent there, I reallocated it to my one thing. And my one thing is what we're doing here right now. Okay, so you'll have to come up with your own give-up list of sorts, where you just relegate it. Like, take the pride and the ego you've got about having to be, proficient at something, and just give it up, and then take the time and energy and put it towards your one thing. So I ask you, what are you going to give up so that you can get what you really want? Because most of the things that you're spending a lot of time and energy putting effort towards, you don't really care, actually, to be great at. But yet, it's still taking life force from you. So let me just sum up where we're at so far, okay? Number one is this. Stop doing most of the things that you're doing. Literally, we took 99% of all the things you're spending your time on each and every day. Most of it is not productive. Then focus on the few things that are and that matter, and then master them. Then go about drilling deep on the mastery of those few skills. And I'm telling you, the difference between what could be your success a year from now versus where you're at right now, if you just did that formula right here, would be dramatic. I'm talking about a multiplied outcome of where you're at right now, if you just did that 3-point formula right there.